Hello, welcome to Motormouth, brought to you by the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. I'm Kendra, and this is...
Dan.
You got it right.
Yeah, thank you. I practiced.
We're sitting here in Fagley's Reading Diner, here in the museum. Of course, our favorite spot, our studio, if you will.
Yeah, our studio, that's it.
So the museum is open 7 days a week, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's a great place to come. Excuse me, to come in the summer because we are air conditioned. So a nice, cool destination for the family if you need to get out of the heat.
I get it. Cool destination, air conditioned.
And in addition to this beautiful diner, we have dozens of cars and trucks and carriages, all on display here, including our really awesome Jeremiah Swinehart Carriage Factory, where we do, most Saturdays, have blacksmithing demonstrations. So we had a blacksmith on the show before, one of our blacksmiths, and they're really neat and informative. So, you know, make it a point to come out here on a Saturday and catch a blacksmith up there. And they're always interesting and learn something new. We got a couple of special things coming up here at the museum. One is, back by popular demand, another Hoods Up weekend. And we'll be doing that on August 10th and 11th. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. So if you've never been to a Hoods Up weekend before, well, we filmed a show here on a Hoods Up weekend with the
Mark.
streetcars,
Yeah.
Mark Rubright.
I saw him Saturday.
At Eastwood, I
he's
bet.
ready.
Yeah.
He's ready to come back.
Ooh.
So.
Ha ha ha. Sucker, he promised. Now we're going to get him back. On August 10th and 11th, basically what we do is, you may notice if you come here on a regular day or in the background of our show, that the hoods on the cars and the trucks are all closed. And on Hoods Up weekend, we open them up. And we let you take a look at the engines inside. So we're really looking forward to that. As soon as we closed the last hood back in February, people were asking when we were going to do it again. So
That, I'll tell you, in February, that was quite popular, and it surprised me how many people came out and were interested in it. And,
yeah.
And, you know, we had some special cars here with kind of different type engines as guest appearances, but, you know, our cars too. And we tried starting them. Am I right with that?
Yes, and we will be doing that again.
Yeah.
On Saturday, August 10th of that day, we will start up a couple cars. So the 1907 Dragon, the 1906 Autocar Runabout, which we've not started yet for an audience, so be kind. And I do believe we're also going to try out the 08 Pullman Touring car. So the really old things we're going to start up. And we might have another additional special thing that day, but I don't have confirmation on that. So stay tuned to our website and our Facebook, and we'll keep that up and updated as we get more additions to the day. And then, of course, we're coming up on Labor Day weekend, which means Duryea Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you forget about that?
No.
Good thing I brought it up. I got to write him a card. Our 54th annual Duryea Day will be Saturday, August 31st, over at Boyertown Park. And we're really looking forward to that, as always. The registrations have started to come in. So if you would like to register your car for that event, and you did not get a form in the mail, maybe you haven't been to the show in a few years, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to mail you one, or stop in the museum and pick one up. You can register the day of the show too. You don't have to pre-register for that. And you can bring anything, any year, any make, any model, they're all welcome. So we'd love to see you at Duryea Day. All right. Did I say enough about what's going on here?
I think you did a really good job.
Well, in that case, I'll let you say a word or two about something.
Something. Oh, okay.
I don't know. All I know is I'm Vanna White tonight.
You're Vanna White, yes, yes. Okay, this is something. Occasionally, I go on the internet researching something about what I'm going to talk about or what I'm going to write about for some club newsletter or something, and you start getting involved in it. And you can go on Google Books, and they have complete scans of magazines from years ago. Especially, I think they go up, the newest ones are early 20s, depending on what they are. But it all has something to do with the copyright of the magazine and so on and so forth. Anyway, I was going through one called the Automobile Magazine from November of 1915, okay? And actually, it's just one whole downloaded scan is all of 1915. So you can go through and read each issue if you want. Page by page, advertisements, articles, the whole thing. And it's really neat. And you viewers, you've seen me do this enough, and I like kind of oddball stuff. And this is the accessory page. There's two of them here from November 18th, 1915 of the Automobile magazine. And they have, there's about, I don't know, 12 different things here. And yeah, some of them are ordinary, but I actually saw 5 of them that were quite interesting, and I figured, well, I'm going to share them with my viewer, or my viewers, our viewers, excuse me. And you know, they're not real complicated, so we can kind of bounce through them pretty quick. And the first thing I'm going to show is called, Vanna White, could you hold that up? Okay, there it is. It's the Mac No Glare bulb, and no is spelled K-N-O. Okay, No Glare bulb. Yeah, Kano. Okay, it's made by a company called A. Hall Berry out of New York City, and I also found some reference to it made by the Mac Manufacturing Company out of Syracuse, New York. That's where the Mac No Glare bulb name came from, the Mac part. Anyway, this Hall Berry also made a Hartford time switch, which was like, you know, you go in a factory and you punch in and punch out, and it's all that kind of stuff.
All that rigmarole.
Yeah, and I think also like for turning lights on and off, and you know, now you can buy some little dinky thing, you just put it in your wall socket. Back then it was pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, cast iron, the whole deal. Okay, but anyway, we'll talk about this, and this is a swivel bulb which locks into a base that you can adjust after you lock it in the base. And you really can't see the swivel part, but this part right here actually swivels separately from this part, okay? And this part of the bulb is sort of covered. So if you have a glare of your headlight, you can just swivel the bulb maybe 90 degrees or 180 degrees. So to make the bright part, which is the top part here, on the bottom. And I think with the parabolics, I think I said that correctly.
Sounds good to me.
Of the headlight itself, you got the bulb in there, and the way the light bounces in there, it comes out the opposite side. So you want the bright on here and the dull on the bottom, and then it comes out that way. And that was just one of these little gadgets people would have. You know, you could just go in there and adjust the bulb. And these early headlights were pretty easy to get into. They're not like today where like in my car.
Yeah, you have to like crawl in the trunk and...
Yeah, well, yeah, in my car, I had to replace a light bulb on my headlight, and the whole front of the car, they had to take off.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it was not a thing to do, you know.
That's why you're labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money too. And this is another thing, is the base on it is the standard Ediswan base. And Ediswan, E-D-I-S-W-A-N. I thought, what in the world is that? So then I looked that up. Ediswan is a brand used by the Edison and Swan Electric Light Company. So they kind of combined the two names. So,
Portmanteau.
who? Okay.
I think that's, I don't know. Isn't that the word when they smash words together like that?
What was it again?
I don't know. It's like some French thing.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't know anything about
I didn't
France.
take French.
I didn't either. I took 2 years of Spanish 1.
2 years of it.
Yeah. It's not a good student. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to show, okay,
Oh,
is something called the Singer direction signals by a company out of St. Louis. And you push a button on the steering wheel or the column under the steering wheel, and you had either a front and or rear sign, and it bears the words right, left, circle, stop, or slow. I don't know what the circle meant, though. Who knows? Okay? And the word would appear. The signs are illuminated at night, and there was also electric warning signal or bell. Now, I don't know how the whole thing operated. It almost seems like a word would just suddenly appear.
yeah.
Or at
Like
first I thought the whole word was like made out of lights.
Right.
But when they say it's illuminated at night, who knows? But again, this is one of these things, we're talking 1915 when cars had nothing back there.
Right.
Except maybe a little tiny
Little
red
tiny,
light.
yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And hand signals were paramount back then.
Mm-hmm. Better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess if you didn't give hand signals, then the other drivers would give you a hand
a
signal. Yeah. Okay, that's that. The next thing is called a Waco Portable Garage, made by the Wabash Automobile Company of Chicago, Illinois. And there you are. It looks like a little hut. Well, that was a house, or not a house. It was a garage.
It's a house for your car.
Yeah, okay. It was made of Georgia pine or imitation brick, okay. Standard outfit was a double door, which you see here in the front, and a single door, which is right there,
Sliding.
and a window. And that's what you get. That's your standard garage here.
Oh.
Costs $55. There you go. And your car, you could probably fit 2 of your cars in
I was
that
going to say
thing.
3.
3, okay. But they had, it's funny in the old advertising showing how popular Ford was at the time. A lot of times you'll see one price for just Fords and another price for everything else. So Ford would be $55. And they went up to a bigger garage up to $120. So they, had various sizes, which I'm not sure what they would be. You also could get a cement floor for them, and that was kind of odd, where you'd have to order a cement floor. So I'm not sure. You think you would have to do that on your own?
Yeah.
And this company also, I found. This was Waco Portable Garages, so I'm Googling around trying to find something about it. I found another company in Waco, Texas, in 1915, called Waco Double Tread Tire Company. And it seems like there might have been a connection, but this Waco Double Tread Tire Company, they had a thing in their advertisements says, send in your junk tires off of Ford cars and get them made into good tires by putting 2 junk tires together by the Waco system at a cost of $2.
Whoa.
I don't think that would fly nowadays.
No, I don't think so.
It's just so interesting. You keep coming across this. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at.
So we don't know. I was wondering too when you said Waco mediums. I figured you were going to say it was built in Texas.
No.
But it's
Well,
not. This tire thing was.
It could have been, but the company was Chicago, and maybe they were the distribution.
Interesting.
I'm not really sure. You see these little paragraphs here and there, and the companies maybe had an idea, marketed, only sold a handful, and then folded under, because everybody was trying to get into the automobile business some way back then.
Yep.
So, okay, the next one here is called the Reading 4-Wheel Jack, and made in good old Reading, Pennsylvania. Okay, and it was made by the Reading Automobile Company. I found a bunch of different stuff for that. I'm going to tell you about the jack first, and I don't have a good picture. This is the best picture I found. The other ones I saw were a lot worse than this, and they came out like a blob almost. But you would drive your car over top this thing, and then there was a device that you raised up underneath your axle, and then there was like a screw jack that would raise the whole thing up. So in the front axle and the rear axle, you would have pretty much 4 stanchions, one under each corner. So you had one there, and the same with the back of the car. And this device in the middle is actually the screw, the hand screw that you would do. Except you had these things sticking up, and there was like no stabilization. I'm thinking, wouldn't the thing just flop? Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed kind of odd that you would have that, and it just very strange stuff.
This is why we don't use Reading 4-wheel car jacks anymore.
But anyway, Reading Automobile Company. It was on South 5th Street in Reading. No relation to the Reading automobile, which was made by Middleby, which we got a Middleby out there. Okay, we should have a Reading too. Are we working on that?
Probably a lot of them out there.
Yeah, right. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Now this is 1915. This automobile jack here. That company in 1898 opened by selling the Winton automobile. That is supposedly the first automobile dealer in the country.
Yes.
Okay. I talked to like a great-grandson or something like that a few years ago about that, and it was kind of interesting. But anyway, first car dealer in the U.S., a gentleman called Fred Kohler was the founder of that. So they were selling Wintons. I found reference up to 1903 about them selling Wintons. Okay, in 1905 and 1912, both those years I found that. You could show the next item, and I think I got that. Yeah, okay. That's the Victor, which is a ratchet pedal for locking brakes. Okay, made by the Reading Automobile Company there. And you just kind of stomp down on that thing and would lock your brakes there. And when you wanted to unlock it, there's a pedal here, and you just put your foot on it and pivot your foot, and that would unlock them there. So I think the next page also is another advertisement for that. But I found a couple references for that.
There's a nice picture.
Yeah, nicer picture there. Okay, so you can see the ratchet mechanism there, and there's the top pedal, which would release it. 1908, Reading Automobile Company was the dealer for Franklin, Peerless, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pope Waverly. And I was looking through some of these dealers, these cars that came with the Victor ratchet brake, and surprisingly enough, some of them were the same. So I'm assuming he was putting them on brand new cars before they went out the door.
Yeah.
Okay. 1908, I also found reference that the Reading Automobile Company bought 6 Franklins to be used as taxis in Reading. So that was kind of interesting too. Okay, now the last thing. There we go. It's called the 2-step extension pedal, made by, hopefully I can say all this, it's quite a mouthful, Van der Beek Sayers Murdoch Company out of New York City.
Does that fit on the magazine ad? Does that fit on the magazine ad?
I don't know, I didn't find an advertisement, I just found it in this text here. Okay.
Wow.
This device permits a short person to control the pedals without unnecessary reaching. So, okay. I am not sure the difference in height between you and your husband, okay? But I'm thinking, usually the men are taller, and he would be using this part of the pedal. But then you get in, and you would be using that. Because the seats were not adjustable. The
exactly.
steering wheels weren't adjustable. So there it is.
Ooh. The answer to marriage strife,
Yes.
right there.
Okay. Now, I was looking around there and I found a reference in Popular Science magazine from 1916. So this is the next year here. And they had like a small paragraph, and I'll read this to you. Adjustable auto foot pedal for short-legged drivers. Short people usually have difficult in driving an automobile because of the distance of control paddles from the seat. Especially this is the case in cars made in large quantities, such as Fords, where no allowances are made for varying leg lengths or prospective owners and drivers. For the convenience of these short-legged persons, there has been brought out the two-step extension pedal, which can be attached and adjusted in a few minutes. The pedal consists of two sections with a serrated joint, similar to that of adjustable handlebars on bicycles. The pedal can be adjusted to suit any driver and is nickel-plated.
Ooh.
So you can see there's a joint right here, and
Yep.
it's pretty easy to do. And believe it or not, I found another company that made them also. And I think if
There
I
was
searched,
competition for this?
I think if I searched further, I probably could have found more for that.
Wow.
So there you go. That's
like
that's a list of accessories from November 18th, 1915,
1915.
as listed as in the Automobile magazine. And every magazine has these, and it's just so neat to look into them and stuff.
Wow.
And so,
A wild and
oh, just wild.
woolly world back in 1915.
Yes.
I like it.
Okay.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. Well, I think we're going to leave the diner now for a bit.
Okay. You're looking at me strange.
I
It's
am.
like, okay, whatever.
I don't want to offend you. 'Cause I know
No,
you
no,
like
no, no.
We're going to go into the lobby.
Yeah, there's no food in here.
As I
You can
know.
leave.
Yeah,
Or-
well, there's no food in the lobby either. Hate to break it to you. But we're going to go in there, and our next segment will benefit from the ambiance in the lobby right now.
Okay.
So we'll meet you in
Coolness.
there.
All right.
Well, we're sitting in a spot we're not supposed to be sitting in.
Now you tell me. Now you tell me. After I helped you get all the stuff ready.
So, last time we had the show, we talked about our Reading Fairgrounds exhibit that was in the lobby,
Yes.
and it has since changed. It's not the Reading Fairgrounds anymore. We've now been transported to a campsite. Do you feel it?
I feel it.
A 60s.
I feel it, yes.
1960s campsite. So this is right now in the lobby, is our Wheels in the Wilderness exhibit. And this will be here till, I believe, Diner Day, November 2nd.
Okay.
Is when this will be here till. So it's showcasing our beautiful 1966 Sundowner. It's a tour wagon. This was built here at the Body Works. And it is an RV, really,
Right.
for lack of a better term. It's an RV. And it's one of my favorite things in the museum. I love it. It has not been out on display, I don't think, since I've been here. We've taken it places, but I don't think it's
Okay.
been on display. So it was about time that it came out and was put in the museum. And we set up this little 1960s campsite here. And thanks to our volunteers and members who are letting us borrow some of these items. Wayne, who has been on our show with his Corvette, is responsible actually for a lot of this stuff.
You're right.
He had a lot of this
Did
stuff.
he bring the
So
rocks?
thanks, Wayne. Wayne did not bring the rocks, though.
Okay.
Those are genuine 1960s rocks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Date coded.
Yeah, I did that. Got to be authentic. So, come to the museum and check this exhibit out. On the other side of the tour wagon, we have some more history on the tour wagon, actually. The ones that were built here, but also this particular one. The family that gave this to us gave us like a whole scrapbook of photos. It's really cool to look through. You can see this tour wagon on different spots on its travels throughout the United States. We also use this exhibit to talk about camping and how camping changed because of the car, and how national parks came into more prominence because of the car. And we've got our little kiosk over there of a family's road trip adventures. So a lot of cool stuff here. You have to come check it out. And this past weekend, this is not my where have you been lately, but it'll work. Where I've been lately this past weekend, I went to Longwood Gardens this past weekend. And it reminded me of something that I saw and was reading about when we were doing research for this exhibit. Get my notes here. The DuPont family, who is factors big in Longwood Gardens and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
One of the DuPonts, his name was T. Coleman DuPont. I don't know what the T stands for.
His first name.
I'm sure it is in the record somewhere.
I think it stands for his first name.
The Coleman DuPont. So, Coleman DuPont, he was an interesting fellow, as most of the DuPonts were. This is a photo of him from 1920, looking very serious, as we were remarking before the program started. Stern, yes. Well, he had a delivery truck that he modified for camping. But before we talk about that, why did he do that? Well, in 1911, he was the president of E.I. DuPont de Nemours and Company. He actually later would become Delaware senator. I think probably closer to when that 1920 picture was taken. But anyway, Coleman DuPont was a supporter of the Good Roads movement, which is an interesting thing on its own. So the Good Roads movement essentially mostly started by bicyclists, actually, because they wanted better roads to travel on.
That was like 1890s, maybe?
I think it started even earlier. I think it started in like the 1880s, I believe.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, the roads were terrible. We talk about that from time to time. And these bicyclists who are like enthusiasts, now they have the means to travel and they're tired of these terrible roads. So, and then early motorists get involved too, and certain states and local governments will get involved with it too, because they see it as commerce coming to their area if they have a halfway decent road. So anyway, Coleman DuPont was a Good Roads movement supporter, and he decided that he wanted a paved express highway, and he proposed this in 1908, and it would run basically north to south in Delaware, the length of the state.
1908. That's very progressive sounding.
Very early, yeah. He was really influenced by Europe and how Europe was building their roads. Just wait till you see his proposed road. This is, I guess, basically like his argument for why he wanted this road. This is the first page of an article out of Scientific American. This is what he wanted to do. And then I'll show there at the bottom, we'll do a close-up of this proposed roadway, which is really intricate. So what he wanted to do was to have a 200-foot wide right-of-way. So it consisted of a 40-foot wide roadway for cars, which you see on there, trolley lines. You can see the dual trolley lines there. 30-foot wide roadway for heavy vehicles, which trucks were really in their infancy at this point. So I don't know, maybe he meant really heavy-duty covered or wagon type things. But then he does have a 15-foot wide unpaved road for horses and then sidewalks. So this is a big undertaking. The utilities, again, very interesting and progressive, were to be buried underneath.
Okay, yeah.
Specifically under where the horses travel.
I see light posts in there.
And trolley revenues were intended to help pay to build this. Although I also read that he was pretty much going to pay for this out of his own pocket. Then he had the money.
And this was pretty much the whole length of Delaware?
Yep, north to south. Yep. And it was also to include agricultural experimental stations. I have no idea what that means. That deserves some further digging. I'm not really sure what he meant by that. And this was always in the plan, that he, would start to build these portions of the road, and he would turn them over to the state of Delaware, and he would not charge Delaware for this. It would be free. He would basically build the road for the state. So it was called originally the Coleman-DuPont Road, and it was in 1911 is when the construction began. So this is not what happened exactly. It's really intricate. That would be enormous undertaking. What really ended up happening was it was a 2-lane concrete road, 60-foot alignment with a 32-foot wide roadway is what he turned out with. So pretty far cry from what he wanted, but still a pretty big job. The Delaware State Highway Department, this surprised me, took over construction and finished it in 1923. I'm even surprised that there was a Delaware State Highway Department in 1923. So this later becomes US 13, US 113, depending on which end of the state you're in. And it did something else revolutionary, which we don't think about much anymore, but it went around towns instead of passing through them. Which, again, we don't really think about that. And it actually did really help Delaware quite a bit, because I read that it helped popularize Delaware's beaches. Now people could actually reach, the shore. It also made Delaware a big trucking area, because Delaware, at least southern Delaware, was kind of shut off from the big cities before this, and this kind of brought the whole state into the fold. Of course, later on, we're going to get like the Chesapeake Bay Bridge and stuff like that.
Now, you said it was 36 feet wide?
It ended up being 32-foot wide roadway.
Okay. Now, did it have the trolleys? Were they part of that?
No, I don't think the trolleys ever made
or
it
next
through.
to it? Because I could see the city dwellers taking a trolley down to the shore.
The shore, yes. That does seem like a popular thing that city folk would do, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, it does. So now this was a 96.7-mile stretch of road. And since he was essentially paying for it, he wanted to oversee construction. There weren't really hotels. I mean, that's why they're building a road, to get things like that. So what he did was he built himself a custom camping car to essentially travel this road and just make sure that everything was going to plan. So there was also, I should say, a fleet of Pierce Arrow cars used by, I guess, other people kind of overseeing the work. But anyway, this was his camping car, and there it is on the screen. It was a Stoddard Dayton chassis.
Okay.
And they were built in Dayton, Ohio. Sorry, not local. But, and it was a modified express delivery body. Had roll-down side curtains, a 6-foot mattress, which was stuffed with hair. Book just said hair. I really hope they mean horsehair. Much like our carriages are. It had lockers with a stove. It had cooking utensils, blankets, metal icebox. Some of the lockers were also upholstered so they could double as seating, additional seating. There were other exterior storage units that had tools, tires, supplies, and 2 waterproof balloon silk tents that attached to either side of the car to provide additional sleeping space. And there was a storage battery and dry cells, and they powered the electric lights on the interior. So those tents, you can see in the next 2 photos, those are the tents when they're all hooked up. You can see it from the back of the car and the front there. I think it said that would basically make 3 additional rooms for your camping. And that's really the story of this car. I don't know if it still exists. Now, the photos that I have of it are from the Hagley Museum. You would think one of the DuPont mega complexes down there would have this if it was still around. And
As historically important as that is.
Well, yeah, and they keep their stuff usually.
Yeah.
They're pretty good about that.
You know, you said that the car had rolled down curtains from the roof.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if they had screens in them. And I'm looking at the tents and I wonder if they have screens.
Yeah, those windows, if they're really screens.
There's a lot of wetlands down in Delaware, and I can imagine, you know, like 10-pound mosquitoes flying around.
Yes.
And
I saw some of them at Longwood Gardens.
Really? Really? Okay. On display or?
Oh no, we were in their natural habitats.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I also noticed the cottage in the background.
Yes.
The picture with the tents.
Probably like a summer home for these people. But it struck me as interesting too, because it said this was a customized or a modified, whatever, express delivery body.
Which would have been a truck, and I guess they just took the back off.
Yeah, and it's essentially what they did here
Yeah.
with the Sundowner, or the tour wagon. Forgive me, Sundowner is what they just named, the family named this particular tour wagon. It is a tour wagon. But the tour wagon is the same thing. It's basically a modified merchandiser delivery truck body. So here was someone that was doing it quite a long time before. But it was very interesting, I thought. And like I said, it rang bells with me because I was down in that area this weekend, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember I read something about DuPont making this. I didn't know he made it for construction of this highway, which that's one of my favorite pictures. I just think it is so cool how forward-thinking he was about that. And I have to give a plug. This is a really great book that we used a lot when we were researching for this exhibit. It's called Home on the Road. It's by Roger White, and Roger is a curator at the Smithsonian. And there's really cool stuff in here. They mentioned Boyertown Body Works in here too.
Oh,
there's a
wow.
little section on us in here. But this is a really neat book. It talks about custom kind of one-off things like Mr. DuPont made, or on our other TV show last month we talked about the Carcajou, which is another kind of one-off rich man built himself a luxury motorhome. But then it talks about Winnebago and Airstream and all the other, more mainline stuff. So if this is an interesting topic to you, I really do recommend this book.
And I always think it's an interesting topic. Maybe you don't want to read about it, but at least come here and look at the things we have, because I think most people have a camping story. Even if you grew up in a city.
Even if it's not a happy one.
Yeah, even if you grew up in the city, you might have went out to your uncle's place out in the country and just spent a night in a tent with your cousin in the backyard or something. And a lot of this stuff might bring back those memories. And,
Yeah, it was fun to set up this exhibit, and People are enjoying it coming here.
And some of the neat stuff that came up, like the Bootenware,
Yeah.
that was from you, right?
Yeah. I love Bootenware.
The one of the little cook stove over
The
there.
cook
That's
stove
nice.
that we used in a show long
Yeah.
way back.
Yep.
But yeah, it really, and we have a lot of games and stuff sitting out. And when I talked to the gentleman who donated this tour wagon, that was a kid when they went in the photo album of all their trips. He's one of the kids. And when we were kind of getting this ready in our minds, we said, well, what is missing from this tour wagon now that you remember when you guys took it on your trips? And he said, games. He said, my siblings and I were always playing games, or, that was how we passed the time. So we really tried to find a lot of kid stuff from that time to put in here. So it's fun. I've seen a lot of people have memories about that.
Oh, yeah.
Too. So that's Mr. DuPont, one of the many DuPonts, and one of the many ways they spent their money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's interesting. You go to different car shows and you'll see occasionally different camping vehicles. And I know at Hershey last year they had one. It was a Curtiss something.
Yes.
And it was made by the same people who made the Curtiss airplanes and
enormous.
motorcycles. It was enormous with a custom truck and everything.
Airstream.
And yeah, it was big. And that was from the 30s maybe, late 30s.
It was gorgeous.
And I actually got decent pictures of it, which I was shocked because there was always so many people around it. And give a plug for another place in Morgantown, the Auto Mall.
Yes, the classic
Did I
Auto
say-
Mall.
Yeah. They have a camper, it's from the late 20s, based on a Chevy truck. And you go there, if you don't see anything else and just see that, it's worth the trip.
I agree.
And that is neat. And
That's one of the neatest things I've
that
seen.
would look good in this building.
Yes, it would.
Yes.
Yes, it would.
So that's
Agreed.
really neat.
Gotta
And
check
you know,
that out.
and that, I remember seeing that at the Auto Mall 2 years ago. There was no signage on it, and I looked all
Yes.
over for a name tag. And then it went about a year ago, and there was a sign at the manufacturer. And I went back and I looked at some pictures I had, and I actually saw one of them that was for sale at Hershey several years ago. And it was, I had a picture of that, and it was different. So there's more than one of them out there. Whoever,
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is.
It looks untouched,
It does.
which is, I think, what makes it more beautiful. But
So
this was fun. I think we're going to move out of our campsite, though.
we're going to move out of the campsite.
think
The
so.
mosquitoes are getting bad.
They are. I'm done. I'm already bit.
Yeah, horse flies and greenheads and everything else.
All right. Well, we'll pick up our Bootenware and go
Okay.
somewhere else.
All right. Okay, we're back here in the diner, and for those of you who are our faithful viewers, you know it's that time where we say, so where have you been lately? So Kendra, I'm asking, where have you been lately?
I hinted what I was going to talk about tonight. I don't know if you remember that.
I
sent you a
did
text.
hear a hint.
Yeah. So, I drive down Penn Avenue in Wyomissing, West Reading, pretty much every week. So I live out there. So, it's your local road. And there's a particular site you might see while you're driving Penn Avenue the past year or so, and that's a giant fiberglass chicken. Did you know there's a giant
Chicken.
fiberglass chicken?
I mean, we're talking giant, meaning how giant?
7 foot tall chicken.
7 foot tall. Okay.
He sits at the Wyomissing restaurant and bakery, and he dresses up for different holidays. This I didn't know. I pass him, and he always looks like that in the first picture. But they dress him up as the Easter Bunny.
Oh, okay. So all these pictures are the
The same chicken. They dress him up as the New Year's Eve baby. And he has Mother's Day stuff on. He has a little hat and a dress. But the waitresses are standing in front of there, so you can see how tall he is. This is a big chicken.
Well, he's 7 foot.
Yeah, he's
That's
a big
big.
boy. Yeah.
I've
I
never
guess-
seen a chicken 7 foot
I
high.
guess actually he's a rooster, but
Well, that's a chicken.
whatever. Yeah.
It's a,
Yeah, so he just sits out there. He's very colorful and bright. So why is there a giant chicken at this restaurant?
that's what's going through my mind at this time.
Well, he did not always live at the Why Missing restaurant and bakery. So this chicken was once part of the Terry Hill Water Park in Macungie.
Yes, I know where
Yes,
that is.
I do too. You know why I know where that is?
No, why?
Because I drive past it on the way to the Macungie Truck Show.
Oh.
All those years I drove by it, and it always seemed closed to me, and it mostly was.
It always, it's called Terry Hill, and I always picture terry cloth when I saw it. So. Okay.
I don't know why it's called Terry Hill.
I don't.
I don't know
either.
what Terry Hill. I don't know.
I don't
know my local geography about that as much. But the Terry Hill Water Park opened on July 4th, 1968, by the Shellhammer family,
Okay.
and started out as just a pool that they had swimming lessons, but later on they added water slides. And in their words, they were mobbed with people. So they started to build tennis courts and a picnic area, and they had a miniature golf course, and that's where our chicken friend lived, in the golf course.
In the golf course.
Yep, there he is, sitting on the golf course. He looks a lot,
Happier?
I was going to say duller, the paint. He's,
Oh, okay.
He's been freshened up.
Okay, so it looks like you hit the golf ball like underneath
Through him
him.
or something, yeah. I think
And it
you
comes out as an egg.
can, an egg.
Except it's a rooster. That wouldn't work. Okay, anyway, go
We
ahead.
won't quibble over the
Yeah,
science
well,
of it.
okay, sorry.
And and we have a volunteer here, and her and I searched and searched and searched for like old photos of this place, like from the 70s or whatever, and we could not come up with anything. The best she got was this aerial view from the 70s or 80s. That's the best we have of some, like when it was in operation. Now, apparently, they said their business really hurt when Dorney Park opened Wild Water Kingdom in 1985.
It dried up.
Dried up. Flushed
Sorry.
with success.
Okay. All right, anyway.
So, Shellhammer, now the Shellhammer family, it was a man and his parents, I guess it opened up in 68. Now, as of last year, the son was still alive, he was 80. Now, he had sold the park in 1998, and then he bought it back again in 2008, and he ran it as a water park for a few more years, but in 2014 it closed for good. And it seems to be closed every time that I passed it going to Macungie. It's now, the land has been bought by their neighbor, Clover Hill Vineyards, who's going to, use it to grow more grapes, because I guess they're losing part of their field due to 222 expansion, and right away claimed some of their land, so they're going to buy this. So, in any case, in June of 2018, they started to they had an auction. They sold off pieces of this water park, and some of them traveled much farther than Breiningsville to Why Missing. Now, a man from Reading, even though he's from Reading, he purchased the two huge water slides, one of which was like a 4-story water slide, and he's moving them to his farm in Belize.
I guess we
Don't
won't
ask
be able
me.
to use it over there.
No, it's for
It's
private
far
use.
away, yeah.
Gotta get a plane. The 30-foot tall pirate peg leg that he was in the front there. He's what I always remember because he's the tallest and he's right there in front. 30-foot tall pirate peg leg has moved to Oklahoma. But our chicken friend, he stayed here. Um, and here's some, this is like after it was sold or closed. You can see this was a pretty big complex, really. All these water slides here. But they had a lot of these like statue type things, or like these two water slides. Here they had one that was like the old lady in the shoe type water slide, and one that's shaped like a dragon. They had statues of cows and horses and all types of stuff. So a lot of this sold, and I was reading the morning call, had like people that were there buying stuff, and it was neat. They had these like big ticket things like peg leg and the chicken. But then, like I was reading in the article, former lifeguards went that used to work there, and they bought like old preservers and stuff just because they wanted a memory of it.
How about that?
I thought that was cool. So anyway, our chicken, the Wyomissing restaurant owner Hamid Chowdhury bought the chicken for $1,600 at the auction, and he had it cleaned and restored by Media Clean Specialties in Stowe. So it was cleaned up local. In June 2018, he placed it on display in front of his restaurant, and he wanted it because he says they're famous for their fried chicken. So he needed a big chicken out front.
Okay.
And he admitted that he was drawn to it. This is from the article. He was drawn to it because it was out of work, and that he likes to, with a little bit of tender, loving care, bring things back to life. So if you are driving down Penn Avenue through West Reading, take a look at the Wyomissing restaurant itself. He kind of revitalized too. That he bought it and kind of turned it around, and now there's nice big giant chicken out front.
You know what I like is yeah, he has his chicken out there, and it's all nice and clean looking and stuff. But with the different holidays, they dress it up.
Yeah.
And it keeps it active or something. It's not just sitting there.
Well, now I have to. Like I said, I didn't know they dressed it up. I actually saw that on the restaurant's Facebook page. Now I have to drive by on like the next holiday. I have to make it a point to go see what the chicken's wearing. I'm kind of curious now. But yeah, even Father's Day, July 4th, he's all dressed up.
Yeah.
So now I got to keep checking him out. He had a picture on his Facebook page. Charlie Manuel of the Phillies was there, and he like around Mother's Day because the chicken's in the background with her dress and her hat on.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty funny. But there's a little sign next to it too that kind of tells like the story of
that's
where it came from. And
that's neat.
It's neat.
They realize it's not just the statue there.
Yeah, and it's neat too because a lot like some of these things went so far away, and the chicken's still in Pennsylvania, and that's why there's a giant fiberglass chicken in West Reading. So get to go check him out and take a photo with him. He's cute. My kids like him.
Cute for a 7-foot chicken.
He's cute for a 7-foot chicken. So that's where I've been lately.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I like too because I had passed that park so many times and it was abandoned. And it's kind of like I had no idea that was related to that. Oh, interesting. So, yeah, that's where I've been.
Okay, good.
That's my chicken story, and I'm sticking to it.
Chickens. So you're sticking to it. So, yeah. I thought you were going to talk about Longwood Gardens. I thought that was the hint.
Yeah.
And I was all ready for that. I was not ready for chicken.
For a chicken. I think I sent you a text the other week, and it was just a picture of a chicken.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
But I was inspired both segments tonight by places I've been.
Yes.
So.
Right.
Woo.
So.
I'm very proud of myself.
So.
Yeah, so I think we're almost near the end of our show for tonight. So we'll just wrap up. A couple of quick reminders, of course, that we have Hoods Up Weekend coming up August 10th and 11th. So, come Saturday to see some cars run. And I should have mentioned, too, I don't think I did in the beginning of the show, there's no extra charge for Hoods Up. It's the same admission it is any other day. It's just an extra thing that we do on that day. So If you're really into the engines and things like that, that's a good time to come. Of course, Duryea Day is coming up August 31st at Boyertown Community Park. Please contact us if you have questions or on how to register your car. We're looking forward to that, and yeah, we're gearing up for those two things. I'm sure something else is coming in September, but it's not on my brain right now.
Well, September is Labor Day weekend, and the chicken will be dressed up as
Ooh, what is it?
something.
A laborer, like wearing a miner's hat or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go check him out
Or
on Labor
Rosie
Day.
the Riveter or something. I don't know.
Why don't they take suggestions?
Oh.
Yeah, so go check out the chicken and then come here and enjoy Hoods Up and Duryea Day. And of course, stay up to date with us. Check out our website. If you're on Facebook, check out the museum's Facebook page. Check out Motormouth's Facebook page. And we try to keep all that stuff updated for you so you can get the latest and greatest information that's going on here.
Okay.
Phew!
That's it.
That's all she wrote.
See you at Duryea Day.
See you then.